And it looks like we have a quorum. So welcome everyone. This is the September 30th, 2020 special called meeting of the Atherton SBDM Council. It's 2:03 p.m. I want to thank everyone for being here and welcome our new parent members, Brian Smith and returning Shannon Fauver. Our new teachers are, help me out here, Mr. Reinhardt, welcome. And then Ms. Swanson, welcome. And then who's our third new teacher? Oh, you got reelected, right, Ms. Schluscher?
Yeah, I'm not like, I mean, I did it last year, but I was just reelected.
You're reelected for another 2-year term. Good, great. All right, I appreciate everyone's contribution. I know I know for the staff, if you've been meeting like me, I spent 4.5 hours straight on video conferencing. It can be very exhausting, and so I try to keep every meeting. In a face-to-face meeting, we keep it under 90 minutes. In a virtual meeting, I keep it under 60 minutes because beyond 60, I start getting loopy. So the things on the agenda, and I will I'll go ahead and pull up and share screen on agenda items as well, so that those who don't have access to our Google Classroom will be able to see.
Yeah, that's why I keep going this way, because it's on my computer. Yeah, over here.
Right, and I have a split screen as well, so we all may be looking away sometimes. Okay, so let's see if I can blow this up some. I've already taken attendance of everyone who's here. Welcomed our new members. Technically, this isn't a regularly scheduled meeting, so we can't approve SBDM minutes. We'll do that at next month's regularly scheduled meeting, where we'll have all the minutes approved at one time for pretty much since March. We haven't had regularly scheduled meetings since I think February was the last one we had. So officially, all those minutes would have to get approved at that time. We've developed a tradition of reading the racial equity analysis protocol, which is at the bottom of every agenda. And this is kind of a modified version of the one that's provided by the district. Are you all seeing, let's see, Ms. Schluscher, I can see you. Are you seeing the racial equity analysis protocol on a shared screen? Okay. Just want to make sure I have the right screen up. And I'll be, as I guess since this is our first meeting for the year, I would like to read them. And then every meeting we kind of rotate through someone new reading them each time. Maybe go, since I'm A, we go through alphabetical order if you'd be cool with that. But so racial equity analysis protocol. So as we're thinking about making decisions impacting our students, impacting our school, want to think of them through an equity lens and we may formally answer these questions or informally review them and think about in what ways may these impact the decisions we're about to make. What is the overarching purpose of, in our case, the policy, procedure, or practice that we're reviewing, the purpose of it, and what racial, gender, or other groups may be inequitably affected by that decision around the policy, procedure, or practice, and how. What racial, gender, or other group will have the most concern about the policy, procedure, or practice, and why. And therefore, thinking through what may be some unintended consequences that could result from that policy, procedure, or practice, such as racial or gender inequities. From that, if a decision's being made, have necessary stakeholders, particularly those impacted by the decision, been meaningfully informed and involved in the discussion of the policy, procedure, or practice? And if so, what was the feedback from that discussion? What factors may be producing or perpetuating inequities associated with the issue? Making sure that we've thought through all the factors that may be impacted by this, and does that policy, procedure, or practice deepen the inequity or improve them? Is the policy, procedure, or practice resource to guarantee full implementation and monitoring? We talk about resourcing our goals all the time within an SBDM. And then finally, who is the main driver for improving equity for this particular policy, procedure, or practice? Of course, as the principal, I'm responsible for organizing and facilitating that responsibility, but often the actual main driver is someone who's actually implementing that policy, procedure, or practice. I'm going to stop screen sharing there for just a minute and just say our school, our staff have been regularly engaged in discussions and professional growth around equity and the role of race and equity in our schools and our purpose as educators. We just had another discussion this morning for an hour on we read an article and then we came together and really engaged in some powerful, deep discussions about race and equity and our purpose as educators. We've done that a half dozen times or so now since August. As we came together in August, our administrators have actually completed 2 book studies, which we met every single week, reading through 2 different books, and we're about to engage in our 3rd book study. Not that the book study itself is the sign of it, but the discussions that we're having are becoming more powerful and more relevant and helping us to really engage in and reflect and impact change for our school to address racial inequity and by extrapolation, I guess, inequities that may exist beyond race as well, particularly with gender and our LGBTQ communities as well, just thinking through where our largest number of students with diverse backgrounds come from. So with that said, let's see, I'm gonna look back on the agenda and see where we're at. I was on the agenda. I put Julie Chancellor up under at the beginning because she was going to be here at the beginning, and I changed the time on her. I told her it was at 2:30. So Tessa, let's invite her back at 2:30. Don't let me forget about that.
Got it.
In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll go over the school report card after she does her part as well. But I'd like to go ahead and hit our preliminary stuff, and that is the training requirements, the managing student records, our duty as a council, our role as a council. I'll try not to stand on a soapbox too much with regards to what is our purpose as a council. We are a decision-making body that impacts policies, it impacts our budgeting, and that within the authority invested by Kentucky Revised Statutes, we have the authority to make this collective decision-making around certain topics as defined by law. And those topics are all located in our policies and bylaws, which you should have received an email with. It's in the Google Classroom as well. We try to just keep that a digital record as opposed to printing them out because it's a lot of paper and it's something that I'd rather it be fluid. So as we're revising, improving, I just change a date and boom, everyone's got the update. Your duty under law. So this was sent to you by email. It's also posted in the Google Classroom. Essentially says that we have to be careful about the way we meet because we are a public entity. And by Kentucky Revised Statutes, by law, we have to give a minimum of 24 hours before announcement before we actually meet. We have to have a quorum. except for special circumstances, and that special circumstance is for staffing consultation, because we have a bylaw that allows us to meet with whoever is available for staffing consultation purposes. The reason for that is that staffing is a year-round thing, and it's something that's constantly fluid, including even this week, having staffing changes happening within the building. So it's in order for us to expedite the process with human resources, we need to be able to meet. And if only 3 or 4 people can meet, then we meet, and we cover our duty for staffing consultation. So that's kind of your duty under law. I encourage you. You're expected to review it and read it every year. Make sure that you don't screw up. We don't screw up with what we're doing as a group, as an SBDM. Also, managing student records, it largely falls on me. I've got a binder back here behind me that has our paper print of minutes for all of last school year and all our special called meetings. I also have the last 10 years in the front office on behind the front counter there. So anybody who ever wants to review our records, they're available. And that's where most of that managing records falls on my responsibility of taking care of that. Email notification agreement. There's no way for us to sign it. So what I'll do is I'll send an email to you asking for you to reply saying that you're okay to receive email notifications. This is really a relic from the past. In the past, they used to require snail mail with a stamp notifications of SBDM meetings. That's really, like I said, it's so kind of irrelevant nowadays, but we still have that response. I have to officially request of you that you being notified electronically is something that's acceptable as far as you receiving that notification and feeling that and knowing that you have when our meetings are. I think they put that in there decades ago in order for people not to be left out if a subversive, whoever's scheduling them, or trying to keep certain people away from meetings. Again, I think it's just a relic from the past, but I will officially send an email and ask you to confirm that you're okay to receive email notifications on when our meetings are. SBDM bylaws and our policies, that was in the email I sent. It's in the Google Classroom. If for some reason you don't have it, just send me an email. I'll send it to you. We've gone through a pretty aggressive total policy review for many years. We review all policies every year. I don't recall if we made it through all of them last year or not because of everything that went down, but we've definitely, the year before that, we actually applied the REAP, the Racial Equity Assessment Protocol, to every one of our policies. And I'd like us to do that again, because as we learn more about race and equity and think of how we are, our responsibilities as educators and as an education leadership body, thinking through race and equity through the policy lens, we want to make sure that we have good policies, practices, procedures for minimizing inequities. Our regularly scheduled, I'm just going through the agenda items, the bulleted items here. Our regularly scheduled meeting dates, it's kind of hard to say, well, yeah, let's try to make 2 plans, one for face-to-face and one virtually. So in the meantime, we went ahead and agreed last month to make our regularly scheduled SBDM meetings on the 3rd Tuesday at 2:30. Once we actually have face-to-face school again, we'll have to reassess that, and we can change it at that time. But since we don't really have a strong answer on a foreseeable future on returning face-to-face, we're kind of operating under, this is going to be our normal mode until we have until it's until we actually know when we're going to return face to face. I don't have any inside scoop on that. You know, but we keep setting deadlines that'll keep getting pushed back until it's safe to return. So in the meantime, the third Tuesday of every month at 2:30 is our regularly scheduled meeting. And finally, the last thing I had on the bullet was something that I have every year, and that is student representatives on the council. You know, typically what I've done in the past is I had a principals advisory council where students could request to be on it. They were interviewed by me, and then I selected 10 or 12 students. And then those students chose 2 representatives to be on the SBDM council. And they're not actually on the council, they're representatives. So they can speak and be part of the meetings, but they're not actually voting members by law. So I think what I may do though, because again, with the virtual environment could be indefinite, with the uncertainty of the indefinite future, I may use our class officers, pick some of our class officers that were just elected from our sophomore, junior, senior classes. And then I'd love to have students be part of these discussions, because we're going to get involved in some heavy policy stuff here in the very near future. We have some big issues to be dealing with. We won't be dealing with them today, but after this meeting, we'll have stuff to be dealing with. All right, I'm going to pause there and see if there's any questions, comments, concerns, anything y'all want to say or do, since I've been talking for 20 minutes.
Dr. Averly, I do have a question as a new member, and I know you mentioned it right at the beginning about the Google Classroom access. So have we determined that is not possible, or is that something that I should get access to? Just kind of looking for clarification there as far as the documents that are available and their location.
Yeah, it sounds like you are not going to have access, because
Okay.
as a non-JCPS person, I can't get you into having that kind of access. Actually, let me look into that, because our Tessa, don't our student teachers have access into a Google Classroom?
I thought they did. I've been sitting here processing how we can get them in. Let me talk to some people that have student teachers now and see. I know Nalchrist has one.
Yeah, I think I may have to make them like a teacher. I thought that's how they got them in, but we'll see what we can do for you. In the meantime, I mean, I always send everything out by email as well.
Sure.
To reduce, to create redundancy, so and reduce waste. So
Perfect. Yeah, not a big deal. I was just curious about that, being a first timer here.
Yeah, I know. And
Could we make like a shared team drive? Would they be able to do that instead of Google Classroom?
Can we share team drives that way? Can we share a drive that way?
I mean, I've only done it with JCPS people so far, but I wonder if that would be more open than Google Classroom would be. I don't know.
I'll put that on Tessa, so she'll figure it out
well,
for us. Thanks, Tessa.
I was gonna say, if you can share a document, you should be able to share a folder to anybody.
I would think so.
So I don't see what would prevent that from happening.
We'll experiment around with it. Okay, so a couple of just logistical things I need sign-offs on. The first off is, we had what's called a 10th day count based on our 10th day enrollment in the NTI setting. We were allocated 3 additional staff allocations. What's that mean? That doesn't mean that I have to hire 3 people. What it means is they gave us digital allocations of 3 more staffing positions for teachers to be used. And what that has allowed me to do is to retain all our staff that we already had, but it also gave us more than what we need. and I can what we call cash in those positions. So what I'm going to be recommending is that we cash in 2 vacant staffing allocation positions at the profit, I guess, of $66,100 each. So we're looking at $132,200 that would then be reallocated to other financial needs within our school. And right now, our significant financial needs are around technology and, frankly, furniture. I know furniture sounds weird, but we just renovated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 classrooms for academies with and putting 10, 12-year-old desks right back into those brand new rooms. So we need to be, I have about $50,000 in furniture we need to be spending, and around several tens of thousands of dollars in technology we need to be buying for those spaces, as well as we prepare for whatever a return to school looks like in the way of our technology needs. All our Chromebooks that we've spent tens of thousands of dollars on have been distributed to students, so they're in the hands of students. You know, I've been told if they come back broken, they're broken. I mean, that was our responsibility, and it's, you know, but in all honesty, for the indefinite future, we're essentially dealing with one-to-one technology. We can expect every kid to have the technology resources and access. And if we can stay one-to-one, even when we return face-to-face, that'll provide us a lot more options and opportunities instructionally. Now, I don't know that that's the way that the district is going to be directing us, but I wouldn't be too surprised if that were to happen. Which means that a certain allocation of funds would constantly be going into a Chromebook replenishment fund, so to speak.
I have a question
But
about that.
I will answer what I can.
I don't know the proper vocabulary to use for this, but I'm guessing you might not either. So I think we're on the same page for that. So does our school have the Wi-Fi infrastructure to support 1,400 kids being on the Wi-Fi at the same time? Like, I know we had Chromebook carts before, but it wasn't everyone draining the Wi-Fi as we've experienced in our own homes, that when you have multiple people. I just wasn't sure if that was something we had available, or if we need to keep that in mind for part of our investment.
Actually, I think, and I'm not saying that there's not the technology issues that we're going to face, but I think that was actually done a couple years ago. They put a Wi-Fi hub in every single classroom. We used to only have 1 hub per 5 classrooms. The district when they went fiber optics, which happened just a few years ago. I think it happened right before I returned from Highland. They moved to putting a Wi-Fi hub in every single classroom. So if there is any need with regards to that type of access, it's usually managed by the district. We manage more of the student technology and the teacher technology access.
Okay.
Usually when it's a facility access, it's managed by the district.
Okay, then I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So if the kids are home and they're using something else that's not a Chromebook, when they go back to school, are they supposed to bring their stuff with them?
No, no, and that's why I'm saying, I'm telling you this is what I'm thinking, not what the plan is. So
Okay.
yeah, no, it's a good point. Like, there are people who are using desktops, right? So obviously
well, my
they're
kid's
not
like using
breaking
my
down.
old tablet, but I don't want it going back and forth on the bus. You know how you
Right. Yeah. So with that said, I want to go back to where we were going with that.
Okay.
No, I agree with you. It's a me hypothesizing where the general future is with things. So here. Ms. Slusher, can you see the section 4 and 5 change? Okay, thanks. This doesn't have a red box around it the way Teams does when I do breakouts, so I'm not sure what it's showing. So this is what the form generally looks like. I'm actually doing a, if you can see my screen, I'm actually doing it handwritten. But I just wanted you to know what the form looks like, that we are theoretically, we are digitally signing when we give the consensus approval on this. I'll handwrite your all's names in there and then include it in the minutes. But so what we're doing is we're deleting 2 vacant teacher positions at this amount, and I'll be adding them at the bottom here to adjust those munis codes. What I'll be doing is putting those into furniture and general fund codes and technology. The reason I didn't fill it in all honesty, is because I didn't know what the code number is. I'm working with my ordering and receiving clerk to figure out exactly what that furniture code is. It's going to look something like a 0118 or 0181118 0743900 XF is generally what a furniture code looks like. But you know, that is what it looks like. And then I'll divvy up the amounts there. I know that sounds like a lot of money. We're going to go through about $70,000 of that real fast. I'm ready to spend it, where I was just waiting for the money to officially come through. So I'm going to stop screen sharing there. And I'm not trying to, those of you who've done this with me before, you know we do these kind of transactions all the time, but I do want to leave an opportunity for people to ask questions if needed. So these 2 teacher positions are vacant. They're 2 teacher, what's called FTE, full-time equivalent positions, which is under current average salaries is $66,100. If I were to want to add a teacher in the future to our staff, that's how much money we have to come up with, $66,100. Doesn't matter if it's a brand new teacher making, you know, $40,000. You always use what's called the FTE, the full-time teacher equivalent average for the district. I'm going to pause here.
Julie said she's on her way in just a second.
Thank you. I'll try to.
What about the 3rd position? Are we hiring one person?
No, the 3rd position, I have to leave it there because if we return face-to-face, I'm going to have to fill it. That's where the study skills is coming into play. And I'm kind of getting away with that without needing it right now in a virtual setting. If we return, when we return, I should phrase it that way. When we return face-to-face, I would actually have to fill that position. Now, the good thing I can tell you is if we fill it in January, we can cash back retroactively the 0.5 for that. But I have to leave it there because of the need for it.
What's the status of the academy coach position?
The window, I've advertised, the window's closed. I have applicants and I just haven't had time to interview for them. And we haven't had a full council in order for me to do consultation for staffing. And I want to involve you all in the process. So I have a list full of a stack full of resumes, and I'll be involved. That's a pretty complex position because I want to involve district level people. I want to involve some of our academy teachers. I want to involve some SBDM, but I also don't want to have 40 people on the interview committee. So, and in all honesty, I've been drowning in everything else, and I haven't had time. That's the gist of it. So. We also have while we're on staff, well, let me finish this up. Is there any further questions on the staffing change? Are you all okay if I take this money and reallocate it into, what I'll do is I'll figure out the actual codes and everything. I'll put them all in there. I'll write in that after we give the thumbs up, I'll write in everyone's name. I snap a picture of it and I'll upload and send it to you, okay? So that you have a copy of exactly what you agreed to. But do we have a consensus on that? Maybe just thumbs up visually, everybody. This is the staffing 4 and 5 SBDM staffing change request form for 2 vacant teacher positions to be reallocated to other funding codes. Thank you very much. And so I don't forget, This is much more minor, but it is, do have to do it formally. There is a 10th day adjustment form. And Tessa, do you see the document that says 10th day adjustment at the top? Okay, this one is actually a lot simpler. We not only got 3 additional staffing, we also got $8,820 in extra operational funds. And we have to officially accept that money, and that's right here in the middle, this box. We actually have to accept those funds, and I put them in 0181180610900XF, which is as you all who've been with me before, you know, that's like your general checking account. So do whatever you want with it kind of money. So we officially have to accept the $8,820. Good. All right, and this is the official form where I put it in there, signed off on it. I'll snap a picture and send that to you as well. Awesome. That takes care of our financial stuff and takes us to comprehensive school plan, just in time for Julie.
Hello, everybody. So I just wanted to discuss that we have a safety plan at the school that we have to reevaluate and do every year. Basically, it contains where we keep the logs of all of our drills, which obviously we haven't done anything yet. This first part is going over this is the first component of our CSIP, which we create throughout the year. I think it's finalized sometime in December, so that'll be coming to you guys as well. So our safety plan, we have a physical binder that we keep at school. It's shared with certain stakeholders like the police, EMS, fire, just so that they have access to all the information, but it's not like a public facing document because there are, you know, policies in there of like what we would do in the case of an emergency. So we don't want that to be public in case somebody wanted to take advantage of our school by knowing what our safety plan is. So I'm just letting you guys know that we have it, it's updated, it's created. Is that it, Tom? Do I need to say anything about it? Answer questions?
Yeah, so beyond our safety, how the safety plan works with the comprehensive school improvement plan, did you say that?
Yeah, it's a component where we have to have the safety plan, and then we presented it to the faculty. We do that annually with the cafeteria custodians, so everyone knows that it exists. Like I said, we do have a physical copy of it. It'll, you know, list things like exit routes. Just again, it has probably 50 or 60 different procedures, anywhere from a viral epidemic. Who would have known that would be important to have a plan for that? To if there's an airplane that crashes into the building, knock on wood, it delineates all of those things. But for the CSIP, the first part is just that we have to present it to the SBDM, let you guys know that it's there. I can answer any questions that you may have about it, and then we'll be proceeding throughout October, November, December, finishing up our CSIP. No questions?
All right. Yeah, no, I know it's kind of weird doing this by video conference because it's, you know, we have a plan. If kids are in the cafeteria, if they're in the library, if they're in the hallway, if it happens during a lunch period, if it happens during a hall break, you know, we have a plan to keep our kids safe, and we work with staff to make sure everyone thinks through what is my responsibility based on my location in the building, what my classroom layout looks like, where I'm located in the building. Whether it's an active shooter or a fire or a threat that we need to lock down. So it's thorough, as Ms. Chancellor mentioned, thorough enough to even aircraft landing inside, hitting our building. We're located between 2 airports. It's actually kind of possible. So, all right, thank you. And then finally, so that's our SBDM being consulted on the comprehensive school improvement plan and our school safety plan. The final obligatory beginning of the year thing is what's called the school report card. The school report card, I sent you an email actually, I don't know. Did I include that in the email? I put it on the Google Classroom, but I'll make sure to send it in my follow-up notes. And I'm going to share it with you right now. Tessa, don't let me forget. I need to mention something else from our staffing change requests, but I don't want to lose my momentum on the school report card. All right, the school report card is, you might have heard this. It's something that every school in the state of Kentucky does every year. This thing's 15 pages long. And for the most part, it's kind of a checklist when you scroll through here. It's something that I complete at the beginning of every year on the number of instructional minutes that are available for students in all our content areas, in all our elective content areas. Then this is one element, and the reason I'm just scrolling through here real fast is it's all kind of the same thing with, I'll stop right here, showing what we have available for the visual and performing arts, as well as for our career technical education coursework. Then this is one element of a final school report that goes out and is posted on Kentucky Department of Education website. So I'm just going to pause there for a minute to let you absorb what type of information is available through this, because ultimately at the very end we sign off on the school report card. So you can see it's exciting stuff. You scroll to the end and there's a council sign off on it. I'm going to stop sharing here for a minute and say, do y'all have anything more you want to know about the school report card? I'm happy to elaborate. Okay. Then can I get a thumbs up that this is the council's accepting the 2020, thank you, school report card. I have printed off that last page and I'm going to print it off right now. And we'll sign off on it and send in what I need. All right. The other thing I meant to mention on the staffing change request that I have to show on here is that we already had, before they even added the 3 teachers, we already had, we had a teacher who was teaching Holocaust who retired. He was a part-time teacher, so he's a 0.5 staffing allocation. Well, based on our number of ECE students, we were reduced half of an ECE teacher for our allocation. Well, that teacher is a full-time person in our building, and we need that teacher desperately in order to maintain our ECE staffing program the way it's currently staffed. So what I'm doing is just taking that teacher who retired, we dissolved that class of kids into other classes, and we have 2 counselors here. We're part of making that happen. And then we will use that 0.5 for that teacher to cover the 0.5 of the ECE teacher. I'm not sure why that requires SBDM approval, because it's purely a shifting of numbers of current staff, but I want to be able to answer any questions if you had on that. In other words, it allows us to keep our current staff by making this change.
Holocaust is no more?
For this school year.
Okay.
Yeah, for this
Hey,
school year.
what happened
So,
to the kids that were in the class?
how about I'll let a counselor answer that. Ms. Swanson.
Okay.
Okay. Dr. Averly and Ms. Uhl, our lead counselors, they met with the students that were taking the Holocaust class and presented some options for them to transition into. Some of the students transitioned into, for example, humanities or pop culture. And then there was a series of e-school courses that they could also take based on their interest. And so their schedules were adjusted to reflect the changes that they indicated that they wanted. And I believe Mr. Cundiff and Mr. Price are helping facilitate the management of that. So in the student schedules, if they were scheduled, say, for Holocaust second period or first period, they've been assigned to Mr. Price. And I think the class is tagged as digital literacy. Or not digital literacy.
Digital Academy.
Yeah, Digital Academy. And so that's how we were able to make that adjustment for the students and still give them choice, which one of the e-school choices was Holocaust. I think that the difference was it was worth half of a credit versus a full credit.
Okay. I was just curious because I was one of the electives my kid passed on, so I didn't know what happened to the class.
So some of the students then are taking, if they are taking pop culture or humanities, they're earning a full credit. But if they chose an e-school course that was half a credit, then they were given the option to choose 2 of them to earn the full credit for the year.
Okay, thanks.
All right, cool. All right, so we're good for me to note that on the section 4 and 5 form. Consensus, yay. All right. Going back to our agenda, we've covered comprehensive school improvement plan, school report card, SBDM member notices as far as your duty under law, managing government records, email notification, our bylaws and policies have been provided to you, our regularly scheduled meeting dates, student representative on council. Training requirements, I've already spoken, most of y'all know this, and those who weren't with us in the past, I've talked with you. If you've not been trained before at all on for SBDM, then it's a 6-hour training you do with the district. If you've been trained before, then you only need the 3-hour training. Matt, I know you've served before, so you're just doing the re-up, the 3-hour re-up, and I think all our teachers, Ms. Swanson, you have to do the 6-hour though, right? So Mr. Smith and Ms. Swanson are doing the 6-hour. The rest of us do the 3-hour. And finally, just our agenda topics for the near future. And this isn't the place for us to talk about it because this is a special called meeting, but we can talk about the topics that we need to talk about. So we need to talk about, we need to do, as I've mentioned, a REAP review of our policies, but we also need to do a REAP review of our mascot. So the district has directed a racial equity analysis review of all school names and school mascots. And these reviews are being done both at a district level and a local school level. And I think it's very important for us to engage as a leadership body, engage in the discussion of the REAP analysis of our school mascot, and look at it through the racial equity analysis protocol lens, through those questions. So I would like us to conduct a special called meeting on that because I have a feeling it'll consume the entire meeting. I don't want it to just be one agenda item of many that are being talked about. I'd like us to go ahead and have a special called meeting on that in the near future. since we are meeting today. Today's the 30th. Yeah, I don't want to wait 3 weeks. I think that's just too long. What is next? I don't know. What's next Tuesday look like? Would the majority of you be able to make next Tuesday at 2:30, same time? I mean, and I know we have a long weekend coming up and stuff, so I'm hoping I'll feel a little more refreshed for it too. Would anybody have a conflict?
I have a conflict at 3:30 on that day.
Good. That gives us a reason to stop by 3:30 at the latest, right? I can't go that long anyway. So
I do have a question. Originally, we were off on Tuesday, but we're not off on Tuesday.
are we off on Tuesday?
The
We're off on
original
Monday.
calendar from last year, that when the JCPS said it was they were off on Tuesday because that was parent teacher conference day, which I saw is now Monday. So
I think that's changed, hasn't it? Somebody, yeah, Kim, yeah, people are nodding their head. I think that all got changed with NTI.
just checking.
Thank you.
I told my kid the wrong thing. That's fine.
Okay, so I mean, I have to publicly announce this. So this may actually, I hate to birth by fire Mr. Smith and Ms. Swanson here with a meeting that may have, I'm hoping it doesn't, because it may draw attention, including media attention.
Dr. Aberly, would that mean, to your point there, would that mean the media would be able to join in on the meeting, or would just get a report after the meeting?
No, we are an open forum, so we have to allow allow anyone. Like if we were meeting in person, we have to be in a place where others could observe.
Understand.
So you're right.
One other question, and I'm sorry, I'm full of questions here with being the new guy, so my apology to the rest of the board. Do we have a deadline from the Board of Education that we are working against to try to have this decision made, or at least some recommendations made? Is there something on the table that we're working towards?
We are required to have what I've been told, what I've been directed is that our school SBDM council should reap our mascot by the end of October. So but that just means we're doing the analysis. So I don't want us to delve. I want to start talking, but we can't, because that's not what this meeting. It wasn't an agenda item. So what I can tell you is that is expected the REAP itself is expected to be conducted by the end of October. We will be conducting it on Tuesday, so we will be meeting that. That doesn't mean that we will be making a decision about anything beyond that. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yes, thank you.
This is not because it's not part of the discussion. There's a question, because I know like Field has changed their name 3 times, or the mascot 3 times over 100 years. Atherton obviously had a different mascot when it was a girls' school. Does anybody know what it was?
Actually,
it was a rebel.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was a different kind of rebel though.
Well,
Okay.
let's not go that far. So
Yeah. Okay.
You're
No, because
right, Doug. Yeah.
Because when I went to Atherton, the rebel was from the Civil War, but that's fine. We're not going to.
Okay, we're not having that discussion, remember?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, the other word, Revolutionary War. I'm sorry, that was my mistake.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great then. So we have a special called meeting for next Tuesday where we'll delve into the REAP analysis. So what we'll do is we'll use the district's formal protocol for REAP. What you have in the agenda was my kind of tweaking it to meet kind of the general expectations of what SBDMs do. So it'll read a little differently, and in my mind, it reads a little more bulky when you're just looking at it from the formal one. But we'll use that REAP analysis as for our discussion on our school mascot as directed by the district, and as is important as we delve into issues of race and equity in our school, and making sure that things that we've done, even if we've always done it for decades or always had it for decades, we're looking at it through a racial equity lens to make sure that we are best supporting kids and best exemplifying education, our role and our purpose in education. So with that said, it is 2:52. Before I say or do anything that leads us down a path that we need to stay focused on our agenda items. These meetings are always recorded and will be posted to the YouTube, my school principal YouTube site, so that it's available for anybody to review at any time. So you'll always be part of that. If you prefer not to have your face as part of it, you're welcome to turn off your video. When I say we're recording, I don't think Sarah had turned off hers for that reason. I think she got dropped. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you being here, and feel free to if I can. Those of you who know me, I love to talk numbers, so I try not to go too far down that path. But if any of y'all want to talk more about staffing allocations or didn't understand what I was saying about a policy issue, please feel free to reach out.
I just want to clarify. We started today at 2 o'clock, but next week will be 2:30, right?
Yeah.
Because I have PLC at 1:30, and we've missed it these past 2 weeks. We've had to fix it for academy.
The other things. Yeah, I have it as 2:30. So are y'all good to stick with 2:30? No, thank you for clarifying, Kim. I have a tendency to lose the details sometimes. So I have it written down 2:30. We'll keep it that. Thank you all. Here. Good to see you, Brian.